You see this shape and you know instantly where you are. The London Black Cab. This isn't just a taxi, it's a cultural icon, a piece of rolling British history. It's as London as a red phone box or Big Ben. But its origin story isn't some celebrated genius design. No way. It's a story of pure necessity, total corporate chaos, and a secret that explains how a machine built to save money became a global legend. What if I told you this undisputed icon wasn't a grand vision, but an accident born from being unbelievably cheap?
To understand the Black Cab, you have to understand London, a city whose streets are a complete mess of chaotic history, not a clean grid. For centuries, getting around was a massive challenge. Before engines, you had horses, and before the Black Cab, you had the hackney carriage.
The name is a total pub quiz question. It could be from the French word haquene, for a horse for hire, or maybe the London village of Hackney, which was famous for its horses. Who knows? But the name stuck. From the 1600s, these horse-drawn coaches were the first cabs for hire, clattering over the cobblestones. The first ever licensed cab rank was set up in 1634 by a guy named Captain Bailey. This dude literally invented the taxi business model we still use today, with 4 coaches, uniformed drivers, and fixed prices.
Those first carriages were absolute beasts, often needing 2 horses. By the 1800s, faster, lighter ones arrived, like the French cabriolet, which got so popular they shortened its name to the word we all know, cab. Then came the super cool hansom cab and the bigger, 4-wheeled growler, which got its name from the loud grumbling noise it made on the streets.
But the 20th century brought a new sound, the internal combustion engine. The horse was done. But this change had a false start. In 1897, London's first engine-powered cabs were electric bursies. They were called hummingbirds for their quiet motors, but they were a total disaster. They were unreliable and dangerous because nobody could hear them coming. By 1900, they were gone. The future was petrol. The first petrol taxi was licensed in 1903, and the word taxi was born. These new rules, the conditions of fitness, would change everything.
After World War II, the city was rebuilding, and it needed transport fast. In this moment, a legendary partnership was formed. Austin, the car maker, Mann and Overton, London's biggest taxi dealership, and Carbodies, a coach builder. Their first huge hit was the 1948 Austin FX3.
The FX3 was a game changer. It was tough, dependable, and had an all-steel body, a massive upgrade. It started with a petrol engine, but cabbies started swapping them for diesel engines to save money. Austin noticed this and made their own diesel engine in 1956. This changed everything for cabbies. The diesel was loud, it was rattly, but it saved so much money on fuel. And when every penny counts, that is king.
The Austin FX4 was launched in 1958. It looked brand new, with a modern, rounded, friendly face. But underneath, it was a clever update, not a revolution. It used a modified version of the super tough chassis from the FX3. It also used the same 2.2-liter diesel engine because it was reliable and cheap to run. It was also London's first taxi offered with an automatic transmission, but old-school cabbies hated it. They thought it was weird and used way too much fuel. By 1961, a normal 4-speed manual was offered, and drivers were so relieved. But the feature that defines the FX4 is its insane turning circle. The rule said a cab had to turn in a circle no bigger than 25 feet. That's tiny. The legend says this rule exists for one reason, so a cab could navigate the tiny roundabout at the super fancy Savoy Hotel in one go. To do this, the FX4 has special steering that lets the inside wheel turn sharper than the outside one. This is how black cabs pull off those impossible U-turns that blow tourists' minds and make other drivers so mad. And the color? Why a black cab? Again, it's so simple. After the war, black paint was the cheapest and most available option. That's it. You could order other colors, but companies just stuck with the free black paint. That simple money-saving choice became a world-famous tradition.
By the mid-1980s, the FX4 was an ancient relic still roaming London's streets, but it refused to die. In 1984, something historic happened. The owner of Carbodies bought the dealership Mann Overton. For the first time ever, manufacturing, sales, and distribution came under one name, London Taxis International, or LTI. LTI didn't reinvent the cab right away. Instead, they perfected it. In 1989, they introduced the Fairway. On the outside, it looked almost identical to the FX4, but underneath it was a completely new beast. It got a 2.7-liter diesel engine from Nissan, more power, more reliability, and way less stress for cabbies. The Fairway also finally brought wheelchair accessibility, a massive leap for inclusivity and practicality. But nothing lasts forever. After nearly 40 decades of faithful service, the time had come. The final FX4 Fairway rolled off the line in 1997, closing an era that had seen over 75,000 taxis built. Yet LTI knew one thing: you don't just replace an icon, you evolve it. So when the TX1 debuted in 1997, it looked exactly like you'd expect: familiar, timeless, unmistakably London. The TX1 was all new underneath, stronger, safer, more refined, but its design was a love letter to its ancestors. The high roof, the curved fenders, the friendly face, and of course the 25-foot turning circle, all proudly preserved. The TX series kept evolving. First the TX2, then the TX4 in 2007. Each one cleaner, more efficient, and more advanced than the last. Together they formed a bridge between post-war craftsmanship and modern innovation, proof that the spirit of the black cab was never just in the metal. It lived on in its silhouette, in its purpose, and in the heartbeat of London itself.
By the 2010s, the world had changed fast. Cities were choking on pollution, and London was leading the charge to clean up its air. Diesel, once the cabbie's best friend, had become the enemy. The black cab needed another revolution, one just as big as the switch from horse to motor. Enter the TXE, launched in 2017 by the newly named London EV company, still proudly connected to the same Coventry roots that built the FX4 decades earlier. This was no ordinary taxi. It was a plug-in hybrid, powered by an electric motor and backed up by a small petrol engine that worked only as a generator. On a full charge, it could glide silently through the city for around 80 miles on electricity alone. And when the battery ran low, the range extender kicked in, keeping the wheels turning. It was smooth, quiet, and clean. The diesel rattle was gone, replaced by a soft electric hum. But the engineers didn't stop at performance. The interior was transformed too. A panoramic roof for more light, USB charging ports, wheelchair access, and even Wi-Fi. It wasn't just a cab anymore. It was a modern mobility capsule, built for comfort, sustainability, and future-proofing. And here's the poetic part. The TXE still looked like a black cab. Those rounded arches, that tall roofline, that unmistakable face. The soul of London's taxi hadn't been redesigned. It had been recharged. Today, every new London cab must be zero-emission capable. The TXE has become a symbol, not just of London, but of how tradition can evolve without losing identity. From horse-drawn carriages to hummingbirds, from diesel workhorses to electric icons, the story of the black cab is really the story of London itself. Tough, adaptable, and forever moving forward. The next chapter? Maybe fully autonomous taxis gliding through smart streets. But if history has taught us anything, it's that whatever the future looks like, it'll still turn heads when it turns that perfect 25-foot circle.
If you enjoyed uncovering the origin behind this everyday icon, hit that subscribe button. There's a whole world of hidden histories waiting under the surface of the ordinary. Drop a comment below and tell us what other invention, object, or design would you love to see explored next.